What social customs do we need to retire? Expensive funerals. The funeral industry is insane. Ada, my first award. Thank you. Yeah, dude, exactly. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting my ashes spread somewhere badass and calling it a day. Sure, cremation ain't cheap either, but much better than a stupid casket and funeral service. Honestly, duck it, just leave my body in the woods somewhere. I'll be done with it. Leave body in woods. Set up trail cam to observe decomposition and animals feeding. Once reduced to a skeleton, compile footage and send time-lapse to all loved ones. I can just imagine all the relatives. Aw, a fox got his dick. I told you the crows would get his eyes. Dad, you owe me 20. The crows have eyes 3, the crowing. That somehow the concept of maturing means you have to give up hobbies that are seen as childish. Putting our jobs before our personal lives. Edit. I took the day off work after I posted this, because why not edit too? Just wanted to share this quote. Each and every one of us has been born into a given historical reality, ruled by particular norms and values, and managed by a unique economic and political system. We take this reality for granted, thinking it is natural, inevitable and immutable. We forget that our world was created by an accidental chain of events, and that history shaped not only our technology, politics and society, but also our thoughts, fears and dreams. The cold hand of the past emerges from the grave of our ancestors, grips us by the neck and directs our gaze towards a single future. We have felt that grip from the moment we were born, so we assume that it is a natural and inescapable part of who we are. Therefore we seldom try to shake ourselves free, and envision alternative futures. Yuval Noah Harari. Not talking about salary. My job didn't want us talking about salary. Turns out the guy I was training, who they hired, had less experience than me and was making about twice my salary. And they wonder why I lost my shit in front of everyone and quit on the spot. Oof, sorry dude. That's messed up. No worries, I appreciate it. It was for the best, honestly. I quit my job there and changed industries, quadrupled my salary in 4 years. The customer is always right being used as an excuse to be a ducking asshole. The full phrase is the customer is always right in matters of taste. It's meant to mean that if someone wants to buy a product, you sell them it. Who are you to judge if they are willing to pay for a tartan-painted car? Edit. Many people are pointing out that the original term is in fact the customer is always right. Through further research I've found that there is a movement to recoin the phrase to the above to show what the phrase was meant to mean, as many asshole customers think it's about them demanding 0-hour minimum wage workers to bend over and kiss their feet at their command. Till. Being nice to customers that act shitty. Having to purchase gifts for extended family that you cannot afford because it is Christmas or another holiday. Oh God, yes. Last year because of COVID I only saw my parents and it saved me a fortune not buying 20 meaningless gifts for extended family I see once a year. I think we would all be so much happier with a 4-day work week and 3-day weekend. A 4-day work week but having Wednesday off is where it's at. I had that schedule in college and having a day off in the middle of the week to rest and or catch up on stuff is great. Though it looks like this custom is fading away during the pandemic, but how about we stop glorifying us being model employees by showing up to work even while sick? I was at a retailer for 14 years, and I don't have enough fingers and toes to count how many times I used to see managers and supervisors dragging themselves to work while sick to please their superiors. In January 2020, I ended up getting the flu from a co-worker that decided it would impress the store manager if she still showed up while sick with the flu. That culture went away real quick when we started getting COVID cases in the store I was at, and I too ended up getting a mild case of COVID. I've called out any time in the past when I felt sick, and I will continue to do so as I normally did. As great as this sounds, workplaces are slowly going back to show up sick. Or at least, I've been seeing more people in my area showing up to work sick. They explain it away as it's not COVID and they're okay to work. My job is doing a big project RN and has declared the next 2 weeks no call-in weeks, and OFC I had gotten sick right before it was announced and was throwing up the morning of the first no call-in day and had to get special permission to call in from the hour manager and still got a phone call from a supervisor chewing me out. Not to mention I'm pregnant, but they don't know that yet. I'm petty, so I would have showed up and vomited all over my supervisor's desk on accidental purpose. I'm going back to work tomorrow, and if I'm still sick and end up puking, that's their problem now. I can barely afford to not go to work for a day or two while sick before considering they might try to fire me for it, so if they want to risk having vomit all over their dinosaur computers BC, I couldn't make it to the bathroom in time, and projectile, that's a risk they chose. They would need to change their computers, hence improving the company. You will be promoted if you vomit all over at work tomorrow. Cashiers and other jobs not being allowed to sit down because it makes them look lazy. While I've got the spotlight, can we do away with minimum wage? Shouldn't be enough to live off of too? Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. These are rules made by people who sit all day. Straight up. I worked day shift at a bar, and we had a stool at one end that we could sit on if needed. Most of the time I didn't use it, but we didn't have floor mats behind the bar, so some days my back would really ache and it'd take a few minutes to rest in between customers. Well, one day I came in and the stool was gone. I was confused, but I didn't think much of it until one of our old, shitty, lazy, couldn't stand for 3 solid minutes if he tried regulars bragged to me about how the owner had removed the stool at his request, because he didn't like seeing us sit down behind the bar. I had to point out to him that most bartenders get floor mats, and the fact that we didn't, plus we worked 10-hour shifts with no breaks, meant we deserved the right to sit when we got a second. He had nothing to say to that, though it was obvious that he'd clearly never given it any thought before that moment. Edit, I was just reminded of this story. This same regular once told me that he didn't believe in floor mats, whatever the duck that means, because one time he saw a girl drop a pint glass on one, and it hit at the exact perfect angle to shatter and bounce back up into her face, cutting her eye. So because of that one freak accident, no one should ever have floor mats. Lol. What a shitty regular. I'd be doing my best to let him feel like he could choose a different spot to be a regular. Shitty boss too. Yay, I'd tell the guy to take a hike if he complained about something as obscure as that. It's a bar, you really want your bartender, the guy making your night a good one, to be pissed off? Worshipping celebrities. I don't get it, and it seems to just create tons of problems. Diamond rings for engagements, they are a scam, and especially the 3-month salary custom is absurd. Discussing salary with coworkers should no longer be taboo. Edit, thanks for the award. They don't want the workers to realize how screwed they are. If the workforce is free to discuss what they're being paid, the next thing they might decide collectively is that they want to be paid more. We simply can't afford to pay you more and still make billions in profits. You need to be a team player here. Over-the-top gender reveals parties. I'm European and I just don't get this gender reveal party at all, like none of that whole thing. I had never heard of gender reveal parties until like the last 5 to 10 years or so. I am sure in the 80s to the early aughts they didn't exist. For what it's worth, I am in New York, so maybe it is a regional thing in the US. When did they become a thing? Editing to Attic. To Wikipedia, they began in the US in the late 2000s. Rest being seen as lazy. If I take a day off of work simply to sleep in and rest at home instead of having to have some sort of big plans or destination, it shouldn't be seen as anything less. That because someone is family, you should force yourself to spend time with them and be nice and respectful, no matter what kind of person they are or how they treat you. This goes along with the enabling acceptance of that's just how they are rather than condemning poor behavior choices. My fiancé's family are these people. They've all acted like spoiled pieces of shit multiple times over the years and have absolutely shat on my fiancé every time they do it. They stopped doing it to me early on because I refused to take their bullshit. They will all shout and scream at her about how she's got life so easy because she's in a good relationship and has a job, but none of them make any effort to change their lives in any positive way. Of course, once they're done shitting on her if she doesn't talk to them for a while, she's the asshole for ignoring her mother and sisters. I've grown to think that some people's complaining and comparing people is their way of doing something about it. Not actions, but making things known. They think that once it's spoken into existence that then things will get better. From my experiences,